money problems have you down,
or downright depressed?
It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and coming up, we're talking about how debt affects mental health.
Hi.
Hey, welcome back to Debt Haters. So we are talking about mental health today and how it relates to debt. And I think the saying of where the head goes, the body follows, that's really important. And I feel like that applies here. It's hard to get out of debt. It's hard to do better with your finances if in your mind you can't see any better. You can't, like, you're already defeated in your mind. You have to have that will. You have to have that encouragement, that motivation in order to do it. However, there are some big blocks and obstacles, especially for people who have a lower income or don't have the means to increase their income right away. And that's where we're at, quite frankly. And it's,
we're trying, but
it's hard, it's difficult. And I think that that's a subpopulation of the debt-free community that's not talked about. They aren't represented. Like, you don't see people on the other side who have...
You don't hear them on the Dave Ramsey show that much.
No, you don't. You hear people who have, they call in and they're like, Dave's asking, okay, well, you have $150,000 debt. Oh no. Okay, well, what's your salary? Who's the doctor? And they're like, I am like $100,000 a year.
Yeah, like he automatically just assumes who's the doctor.
Yeah, who's the doctor? Who's the lawyer?
Who's the principal?
Yeah, like, you have a great income, but there are people out there, unfortunately, it's bad. It's a bad situation there, and who have over $100,000 of debt, like us.
And I don't think it's a tiny hole. I think there's a lot of people like that. Like, just those are just a few who get out of debt. I mean, like, those are the ones who come. Like, there's a lot of people who are getting out of debt, and it's not taking 3 years. It's taking a little bit longer.
Yeah,
those are the people who aren't calling in on Dave because they're still working on it.
Possibly, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, so that's kind of what we kind of wanted to focus on with this video, are people who have been dubbed the teen tiny shovel, because Dave's analogy of the shovel and the hole being your debt, and then the shovel being the income that you have to fill the hole or to get rid of your debt. There are people who have the tiny shovel where, they're not making, bukus, like they're not balling out of control. They're making $50K and trying to get rid of $100,000 of debt or something like that. So this one's for you. Let you know that you are represented. Let you know that
you're represented. You are us. We are you.
To let you know that there are people in that group, and that we're still out here trying, still out here grinding, still trying to make a dream happen. So that's thing one. And then thing two, just bringing awareness and light that mental health it's not just, substance abuse, or it's not just addictions. It can be the
mental health leads to places.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, it could lead to that, but mental health problems or issues can stem from debt, or, just trying to deal with it, or just trying to get out of it. So we just kind of wanted to share our story. Full disclosure, we are not on the other side. We are not debt-free. we are seeking and going after, a better financially fit life, and that includes getting out of debt, managing our money well, and making better choices. But we have dealt with the effects of debt, and we just want to share what I think is a unique perspective. And that perspective is that we're getting out of debt without the adequate means. Like, we don't have enough money right now to get out of debt well. So we're bringing it now and sharing our story, and not just sharing our story. It's not a sob story, we're not wanting sympathy, but we're actually going to talk about some ways that we combat how to stay healthy mentally during this time of pursuing debt freedom.
Because that can bring people down.
Yeah. So, I thought we would just start off by kind of describing how life is like for people who are dealing with debt and describing how that life is, then making the connection between mental health, how current state of affairs, current living situations can affect how you feel, like where those feelings of anxiety, depression, embarrassment, resentment, shame, like all of those negative mental like feelings, that all comes from somewhere. It all kind of starts from debt. And some people, they may not see like, hey, you know, like, well, I'm getting out of debt and I'm not depressed, you know, and there's a reason why you're not. And so we were just going to share that. Yeah. Okay.
There are a few different things that I just, growing up, I just started not liking. And one of them was car repair people. You know, like when I first got my car, when I was younger, my dad always find these individual car repair people. And sometimes they would fix it or fix the car, or we pay some kind of money, usually with my money, and we get the car back and something else would be wrong with it, you know. And, you know, us not having the knowledge 100% of car fixing stuff, you know, there's no way to really tell if the car is really fixed or not, you know, if your money was wasted or not. And that's what I also felt like with Dad. With getting into debt, with talking to loan people, creditors, things like that. It's hard to trust that they're taking out the correct amount and that they're actually applying it to our balance and it's, you know, just doing it the right way. You know, like my biggest fear with that is just that things are not being done right, and that they're getting over on us. So one of the biggest things with me with mental health and dad and all this kind of stuff is I really just didn't trust him. I just wanted to stay away. I didn't want to even look at my dad. I didn't want to even look at it, didn't want to know how much it was. I just had a ballpark idea in my head, and I just left it alone. I didn't want to contact him, even try to log into the website. They always ask me to update your information. I always wanted my number to be something where they couldn't find me, because I believed that if they couldn't find me, then they can't figure out a way to, you know, take me to court or garnish my stuff. But if I gave them a way to contact me, then they could say that I was refusing to pay or refusing to look or whatever, and then they would try to, you know. So my biggest fear was just that, like, the whole process. Like, I didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think that stems from, you know, if you kind of break it down and, like, see, it's probably because you didn't have the money. Like, if you had the money to at least get on a payment plan, then you probably wouldn't have been concerned about it. So yeah, like that's where we are. And I feel like that's a population that's not talked about. They're not talking. Obviously, that this population, I guess you can call it a sub-population of the debt-free community. They're not talking about it because shame, you know, that they, you know, don't even have the money to start, you know. And
I mean, there's so much fear in it, because if they say your minimum payment is this, and then they, you know, and that's obviously something that you can't pay, and they say, well, there's no other solution, like, you know, that's it. Like, you're out of a lot of money that you need for your necessities.
Right. First off, like their homes, you know, they're small. You know, you can't afford a lot when you don't have a lot of income. And we were living, and even now, like, we live in a 1,000 square foot apartment with 2 children, and that's tough. Like, and it, you know, weighs on your mental health. It makes you feel like you're living in a box. Like, I've actually said it, like, it feels like we're in a box. That we've lived in places with pests because of being in an older building, and that's all we could afford, like, monthly. Furniture, like, not having the nicest furniture, going without certain furniture pieces, like, you know, and all of this, like, we're being really transparent now, but, you know, like, as far as, like, furniture, like, neither of, like, our beds in our home have headboards, like, because that's something we're doing without. And, you know, it affects your mental health because that's where you have to sleep every night. Like, I feel like I'm trying to, like, be an advocate for people to understand how hard it is for people who want to get out of debt, for how hard it is for them to get past these like mental blocks. And then so you have like their home situation when you have like low income, your clothing, like you can't just walk in and get whatever you want for clothing. And it's either going to be, you know, something that you have to wear for a long time, which then you'll get holes in, which we've had like holes in clothes, holes in shoes, and we've had to wear them. And I mean, thankfully, you know, our children haven't had to. Like, that's one thing. We somehow provide for our children. I mean, I'm not sure what the future holds, but somehow we're able to still provide. Now, we do get some of their clothes from like garage sales and consignment shops and people who just, you know, give them to us, but they haven't had to have holes in their shoes, but we have. And it's because we couldn't afford better. That, and then like just poorly fitted clothes to wear, you know, and so all of that plays on your mental health. Like, imagine, like, I'm assuming people watching now, they don't have those problems. And I just want you to sit and imagine if you were in 1,000 square foot place, or, you know, you didn't have certain things in your home, you didn't have like clothes. Would you be thinking of, yeah, I can get out of debt? Like, would you be confident in that? No, you would probably be kind of depressed and like have a low self-worth, like a view of yourself, like, I'm not even, like, how can I even do that? I'm not like worthy. And then, you know, food, like, we like never go out. And like I said, I don't want this to be like just complaining, but to see that life for people on a lower income, even like near poverty, like for them to get out of debt, it's hard. Like, they have that big like mental block. And
so something else I just wanted to add was like just the idea of, you know, this in the back of my mind, I already had a ballpark idea of how much debt I owed or what we owed, and I knew it was over $100,000. In the back of my mind, I'm like, $100,000 is not what I get paid every year. You know, it's definitely just you know, I only get paid a small fraction. We're going to be paying on this, you know, 15 years or more.
Yeah, because we're living off of almost every bit of what you make. Yeah. Yeah,
so like money is going to be going out into the oblivion, basically just stuff that was just past mistakes. It's not anything we're going to be using or that we're going to be happy with. It's not food that we're going to be eating or clothes for supplying. It's just going out into the air. It's going out, you know, like this money is gone like every month for years, for 15, you know, 10, 15 years. Like I didn't want to deal with that. And there are some people who make the decision that, hey, I'm just going to owe these loans and this debt until I die, and then it'll go away. Or there's other people who are like, well, I can just try to do these different payment plans and stuff like that where my loans will just be forgiven to a certain amount. And that's something that we're trying to get out of, you know. We don't want to do loan forgiveness stuff. We don't want to do you know, dying and then, you know, the loans will go away. You know, we want to actually pay off our debt.
Yeah, and you know, that's not a decision that we've always like made and we're like all united on it, but just an integrity piece, like saying, you know, we took out the money, signing, saying that, yeah, we'll pay you back. Give us the money, we'll pay you back. You can trust us. So, I mean, then it's just kind of an integrity thing. We said we'll pay it back, so we got to pay it back. But kind of talking about like diving deeper into the mental health, like those issues I was saying about like depression, that kind of comes from, you know, the feeling that you're never going to get out. Like, it seems like this is my life now. Like, I am limited. And the biggest thing about money, and definitely like comment below if you are in this subpopulation of the debt-free community where you have a low income or team tiny shovel. I'd love to like hear from you. But I have a feeling that there's a lot more people than we realize actually are a part of it. I think 90% or more are going to say that they're team tiny shovel. I'm not sure about that, because a lot of the debt-free screams that I hear on Dave Ramsey, like that's the issue. Like, you hear them like, yeah, you know, we have $150,000 in debt from credit cards, student loans, car payments, la la la. But then, oh, okay, well, what's your, how much do you make a year? Well, my husband makes 80, and then I make 40, and so it's like, quite frankly, when I hear that, I'm like tempted to shut it off because you can't help me. I mean, not that I'm just looking for help, but it's no longer motivating for me because that's not me. You know, like my husband doesn't make 80K, I don't make 40, and we don't have a 6-figure income. So your journey is different than mine. Not downgrading it, like not. Yeah, I obviously don't want to be jealous, Judy, but
I mean, like, I would like love for Dave to just ask, what were you making starting out? Like,
well, what if they were starting out at 80? Like,
now, yeah, like that would be one thing, but like sometimes just a small fraction. You know, sometimes they say, well, we started out with this small amount, and then we you know, I got this big contract, or you know, I got this.
Yeah, they may like a job change, or you know, something like that. But yeah, those stories are out there. But what I'm saying is that they're few and far between. So yeah, I'm definitely like interested in hearing if there's anybody out there, you know, in that subpopulation.
But also, what are y'all doing? Those who are in that subpopulation, what are you doing to
increase your income? To
increase your income or potentially get out of debt. How are you living? What are you sacrificing? Because, you know, in order to do side hustles, we have to sacrifice time with our kids. We have to figure out some other thing. Like, we have to sacrifice something to do our side hustles usually.
Right, yeah. It's that, the sacrifice, and what I was going to, like, mention before is the creativity. So, like, definitely not taking away from those people who got out of debt. I know they work hard. I know they're still sacrificing something. Obviously, they work hard if they're making, you know, 80K plus a year, but I think the battle and the journey is different for Team Tiny Shovel, like, because you have that mental block, and that's the biggest thing. And it's the mental block because you have to get creative. How am I going to make more money? Because I'm not doing it in my regular job. I don't want to go back to school and get more debt, you know, like, and usually people, you know, in low income or in poverty, they don't have the education a lot of times to do something that's going to pay a lot of money. You know, I don't have an education to be a software engineer or, you know, an astrophysicist. Like, I probably could have, but I don't have the education. So that's out for me. But what can I do to, like, what do I have? Like, what kind of skills? So, I mean, yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. But the biggest thing I want to say though, is that money takes your power of choice away. If you don't have money, you can't choose. You get the leftovers, you get the scraps, and we kind of learned that the hard way. So yeah, that's kind of where the depression comes from, that mental health issue, and then the mental health issue related to shame and embarrassment. Being embarrassed that, hey, I should have made better choices, that everybody kind of starts off on a level playing field, graduating from college or graduating from high school. A lot of graduates now, you know, class of 2020, congratulations. But everybody kind of starts off like, hey, you know, the world's their oyster and, you know, there's so many options. But if you have, you know, one person who graduated in your class and they have a plan, they're like, hey, I'm going to go to school, I want to be an accountant, or I'm going to be a doctor, and, you know, they go through with the plan and they, you know, make this great income, then, you know, life is kind of gravy for them afterwards because they have a great income. But someone who kind of didn't have a plan, either they didn't know, no fault of their own, or they just didn't follow a plan, they just kind of played around, life will be harder for them because of less income. Or so the shame and embarrassment of wasting your life, I guess. And then the biggest maybe mental health issue that I see from low income is resentment, where you're transferring those bad feelings that you have about your current money situation to other people. Like, all of a sudden you're resenting, you know, a loved one, like a spouse or children. Like, had I not been in this situation with these people, then maybe I could go out and do better for myself. You know, that's serious, because you can't get better dealing with those kind of thoughts. So yeah, unless you wanted to say anything else, I'm just going to kind of talk about how to combat, you know, those thoughts.
I want to talk about combating those thoughts a little bit myself.
Okay, yeah.
Can I start off?
Sure.
Okay. way to combat the thoughts. The way that I combated my fear of, just dealing with that, looking at it, even thinking about it, all that kind of stuff, was actually sitting down and doing the math, seeing how realistic it was. Just making it something real rather than just a fear or a thought in my mind. Just, adding it up, looking at everything, seeing everything that I owe. But another thing is being emotional. Like, my theory is to take away emotion from trying to get out of debt. Because I feel like if you are emotional about your money and your debt and all that kind of stuff, when things happen, when things that don't go your way happen, while you're trying to get out of debt, you're going to make decisions that'll get off of your plan or your debt repayment plan. That is just going to make you end up paying more. Like right now, we're dealing with one of our private student loans is contacting us and wanting us to get some money out of default, and just wants us to pay and all this kind of stuff. But as far as this debt snowball or debt avalanche, debt hybrid, they're kind of in the middle. Like I don't mind doing minimum payments with y'all, but I don't want to do anything else, But so part of it is like we just want to get it over with. We don't want to deal with these people who keep calling weird kind of numbers and all this kind of stuff. We don't want to deal with them, so we're really tempted to just start focusing on them and paying them off. And then our car loan is going to be, $22,000 if we're trying to focus straight up on them. Like, we can't let emotion get in the way of our planning. And that's a lot of mental health stuff that goes with that. It's like, there's so much frustration and stress with trying to repay debts and trying to look at your debt and all that stuff that you have to be focused on just letting things go and just looking at it as these are numbers, and I'm trying to go in a certain order that's going to get me out of debt the fastest.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely all true. As far as being kind of badgered and constantly, told that, hey, you need to pay, and then that can get you off course as to say, hey, I already have a plan to pay, but is that the right thing or not? It makes you question yourself. But yeah, like how I combat it is kind of visuals, like seeing something, seeing, what kind of progress we made, or just encouragement. Like I love like posters or wall art that, it's kind of text-based and has like some encouraging message on it. Some people think it's a little cheesy or something, but I find encouragement in that. That and gratitude, that just had to be a thing for me. Like I've had like a friend tell me about, and I've heard it in the military too, like hunt for the good, like hunt for it, like not just count your blessings, but you have to look for something good, like, because it's not going to be out in front of you like, hey, something good, here I am. No, you have to actually look for it. You have to hunt for it like a hunter, like literally. And praying, obviously, like just, if you're, a person of faith, but just finding something positive out of a sea of negativity. And not contributing to the negativity. Like for a long time, maybe we'll do like a video on how debt affects marriage, but for a long time, I think I contributed to our negativity because I talked about it a lot. And I, if reality is reality just as it is and it's not good and it's negative, then okay, but there has to be some positive in it. Point out ways to get out of it and not just constantly talking about the negativity that you're in, or the bad situation that you're in. And then just physically too, like that's like the third way that I combat those negative emotions and dealing with our debt is just getting outside and like hearing uplifting comments, actually talking to other people, exchanging ideas. Like now that we're trying to get out of debt, like I won't say obsessively, but now I think a lot about how to make money. Like, what can I do? If we'll share a video too on like the side hustles that we have done, like to make extra income and the creativity behind it. Like it's kind of, in a way, it's a little enjoyable, sort of. And
I mean, it is fun to make money. I mean, it's not fun where it's going.
Yeah.
But it is fun to figure out ways and actually see that they actually work.
Yeah. Like I was saying, like the creativity that's in it. You have to be creative. You have to get those creative juices flowing. Like get your brain in gear and really think about it. And then I just, wanted to bring up. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Celebrate Recovery, but that might be something you would want to look into too. If you are dealing with some mental health issues related to debt or poor financial decisions and you are feeling bad, there's a whole community of people who are there to help you and support you. And it's not just related to financial stuff. It also, Celebrate Recovery also helps people with addictions or those kind of issues. But if you're experiencing feelings of depression, that could be another resource for you. So
it's always good to be around people and talking to people, even if they are kind of probably even down themselves. Like just being in a community of people, letting yourself know that you're not the only one or you're not the only family in this situation it works wonders on your mental health and it helps you look at things clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. And like just not to stop. Like that community of people, make sure they are, obviously uplifting, and encouraging you to keep going. Even if your progress is small, even if you are Team Tiny Shovel, just keep going. And eventually you'll get to the other side. You'll find some great idea or something and make a bunch of money. You can pay off your debts.
And then you pay off our debts.
Yeah, hey. But yeah, so the last thing I want to do before we wrap things up, shout out to I guess you can say a movement, something that is related to debt and mental health, and it's called Mental Wealth, and it's the founder is Jeremiah Reed and his wife. They've paid off more than $211,000, somewhere around there. Like, it's phenomenal. And they've started, Jeremiah, he has like a book out. They've started doing several things. So I'm just going to link below their website. Definitely check them out. They have a YouTube too that they're sharing information like fire. Like it's great nuggets, great information, and very motivating. So that's one person, out in the field advocating for mental health for those who are trying to get out of debt and better their financial lives. So yeah, definitely check them out. Remember, it all starts in the mind. You got to take care of your mind too. So I just want to encourage you on this Mental Health Awareness Month. And yeah, have any questions or comments, definitely share them down below.
We will respond.
Yeah. Y'all take care. Be well.
All right. See you later.